Okay, here are some Procreate functions that you might not know about. First, you can easily flip your canvas by turning on this gesture. Just go to Preferences, Gesture Controls, and then turn on Touch, and then you just press down and swipe. Next, to copy and paste faster, you can just swipe down with 3 fingers. Next, to get this little reference box, go to Canvas and Reference. Next, you can try using out the clone tool. I don't really know how to explain it, but if I put it here, and then I start coloring, then it kind of just clones whatever this circle is on. And lastly, also, this is not sponsored by Procreate, but please notice me, Procreate, hi. If you go to Canvas information, you can click into statistics, and it's pretty fun to see how many brush strokes you made or how long each piece took. Okay, there are 2 coloring techniques that you have to try out. The first one is super easy. Just use lasso, freehand color fill, and it's just such a fast and easy way to do your flat colors. You just tap on the points, and then once you're finished the whole thing, just tap back at the starting point and it just automatically fills in the color that you want. The next one, I don't really know if there's like a name for it, but instead of like rendering with the brush itself, you can try using the eraser tool to color instead. And this is what I mean. So if I'm coloring his eyelid, just like fill it all in and then pick your favorite brush with the eraser tool. So I'm just picking the yummy textured coloring brush and then just erase the parts that you don't want shaded. I feel like this one's kind of like a hit or miss. Sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't. Depends what like my brain is feeling that day. But I feel like these 2 techniques are super underrated. Okay, I'm going to tell you some more underrated art hacks. Literally the easiest way to do hair shine is this. So use the lasso freehand color fill tool and do these kind of wave form shapes. And then once you have that, use a textured brush, lower the opacity a little bit, and just make the edges a little bit more smooth. Beautiful. Next, if you're too lazy to do full body, just be artsy and kind of like cut it off to make it look intentional or kind of make it like a painterly style. I don't know, just adds a little bit more flavor. Next, if you don't know what to draw, find one of your old drawings, the more questionable, the better, and you can try and redraw it into a cool new style. And it's also like a good self-reflection exercise to see how much you improved. There are different ways to fill in color on Procreate. So if your liner is nice and neat, connected, beautiful like this, you're going to want to turn that layer into Reference. And then on a separate layer, you can just fill it in. Gotta tell you, there is no easy way. If your liner is really messy and disconnected, you will have to manually color it in on your own. But I found that this process is slightly faster. I use the lasso freehand color fill tool, and then I just click the main areas where the hair is. Okay, pretend I did the whole head, and then you just connect it back. Obviously, you can see it is still quite messy and really sharp. So then I just go in with my rendering brush and just like kind of fix it up a little bit. If you don't like how sharp that looks, you can also turn your coloring brush into the largest size and then just use that to kind of fill in the large spaces. Again, you do probably have to go back in and just make it look a little bit cleaner. And you already know I'm using my fave. Trust me, I wish there was an easier way in Procreate to fill in messy liner that doesn't connect. If there's an easier way, please let me know. Also, real quick, in that first clip where I do fill it in, I already had filled it in manually. I just turned it to white and then I just like filled the white in. So yeah, there is no way to do it like that unless you've already manually filled it in. Okay, listen, I will tell you the secret to fast coloring. So right now her hair is unrendered and we're going to fully do it in just 4 layers. So the first one is dark shadows. For the dark shadows there, you're just going to go in and block in a lot of shadows. Shape-wise, I like going dark to thin, kind of like that. And you're just going to put it in any crevice like that. I feel like this shape is so important. I use it for like my hair and skin and clothing, rendering, everything. And again, I'm using the yummy textured coloring brush that you can just download from here. But yeah, I love the brush. It gets this shape right every time and it always looks good. So once you're done with the shadow layer, you can play with the opacity a little bit. And then layer 2 is going to be the highlight layer. So in this layer, this is just when I put a blush tone around anyone's bangs or add in these little extra highlight things. And I feel like at this point, the hair might have just taken 2 or 3 minutes. And layer 3 is I do dark shadows. So it's very subtle, but it's there. It adds some depth, I think. But this is when I just zoom in and I just put it in some like random crevices here and there. And then the final layer is just extra stuff. So for hair, it would just be extra strands. So for basically everything, hair, skin, clothes, I use these 4 main layers. So quick overview, shadows. Having a good brush that makes good shapes really expedites this process. Second layer is highlights, super fast, takes like 20 seconds. Then we got dark shadows. This one is optional, but honestly, I like the depth it gives. And then extra stuff like hair strands or makeup, I don't know. And once you have these 4 steps down, I think it really speeds up the entire process of rendering anything. Here are some of the best resources that I use as an artist. For any and all hand references, I just use my own hand. Like, this is like a free reference right here. Just like put it in the pose you want and then just snap a photo. Next, I use coolers when I want to switch up some color palettes. You can just keep pressing generate and it comes up with like really cool color palettes. Next, to download brushes, I always look on Etsy or Gumroad. For liner and rendering, I use this set. For Flora, I use this one. And for backgrounds, I use this one. And lastly, for inspiration, I love using Pinterest. Their algorithm is so good. They just know exactly what you're looking for. And I literally just find myself scrolling here for like 2 hours. Okay, here's the easiest way that I draw clouds. So starting off with a nice blue background, I'm going to go in with a white. You're going to pick a feathery brush with kind of a low opacity. I'm using the clouds, it's literally called Clouds, from the Aesthetic Background Pack. If you type that in, it's this first one. Maybe I'm cheating because this brush is too good, but all I do is I just scribble and block in these cloud-like shapes. And you can see that was basically no effort, but then it looks like a cloud. And then depending on what color sky or what time of day, you can put in some highlights. So I might put in some purples. It's really subtle, but you can see it kind of still makes it look a little bit fluffier and kind of looks highlighted by the sun. And then with the color of the sky, I'm kind of using it to block sections to kind of create different sections of the cloud. And yeah, that's basically all I do. If it works in different lighting, just make sure you change the hue of the cloud. And when I want it to look a little bit more structured or cartoony, I just put like a blue outline around it.
Okay, you know how people do like these perfect hair shines? I'm going to expose the easiest way that I do hair shines. So, after you pick your color, you're going to go to the lasso tool, freehand color fill, and then literally just do the messiest kind of sharp, jagged shapes like that. Now just make like the ugliest, weirdest shapes ever. Then, with the smudge brush, the good thick brush, I like using the yummy textured coloring brush, slightly kind of glide over it. If you don't like these like jagged, sharp lines, you can go in a little bit more carefully and just kind of blend it all out. So I'm just doing that all along the ugly, weird lines that I did. Once you've done that, you can kind of go back and erase some lines to have some hair peeking out on top of the shine. Then you're literally done. Literally the easiest way to do hair shine, yeah.